was told later that they were saying, take her off. Before I even know what's happening, I feel grabbing me from behind.
What happened to Lara Logan is extremely heartbreaking. How could someone so revered in journalism face such a dramatic downfall? Once celebrated for her fearless war reporting and unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth, Logan's life and career have taken a series of devastating turns. From enduring a brutal assault while covering the Egyptian Revolution to the professional consequences of a major reporting misstep, Logan's journey from the pinnacle of journalism to the challenges she faces today is both tragic and profoundly moving. Early life and career beginnings. March 29, 1971, found Lara Logan born in Durban, South Africa. Growing up during the apartheid era, Logan became early interested in journalism under the influence of the political and social unrest in her nation. She studied commerce at Durban Girls College and subsequently registered at the University of Natal, now University of KwaZulu-Natal. Her love of narrative, however, drove her to enroll in journalism classes, therefore preparing her for her future work. Logan first entered the business working as a Sunday Tribune newspaper reporter in Durban. Her thorough investigations on local happenings and hard-hitting stories helped her to establish herself fast. International news organizations took notice of her work, and shortly she was reporting for Reuters in Africa. This started her path into world journalism. Her remarkable ability to report drove her into television journalism. Working with many local South African news stations, she joined ITN and subsequently GMTV in London, where she kept developing her image as a courageous and competent journalist. Logan's move to television let her cover significant world events and expose herself to prominent conflict areas that would define most of her work. Her next big career breakthrough, joining CBS News as an overseas correspondent, was made possible by her determination and readiness to report from war-torn regions. Rise to prominence, international correspondent. Lara Logan joined CBS News in 2002 as a correspondent, a position that would propel her global recognition. Logan became among the most identifiable faces of combat reporting as a foreign reporter. Her bravery in frontline conflict reporting from Iraq and Afghanistan brought honors and confirmed her reputation as a gutsy war correspondent. Logan gained hitherto unheard-of access to the battlefield by embedding with U.S. military soldiers in Iraq. Her on-the-ground reportage gave viewers an unvarnished view of the human cost of these wars, therefore capturing the terrible reality of war. Her reporting on everything from military tactics to the hardships of people caught in the crossfire showed a special ability to mix hard news with personal interest stories. Among her colleagues, she stood out for her readiness to take chances to deliver significant stories. Logan's audacious style distinguishes her in the cutthroat business of foreign media, whether she is interviewing Afghan tribal leaders or ducking gunshots in Baghdad. One of CBS's most esteemed shows, 60 Minutes, started her on a regular basis, producing high-impact stories on subjects ranging from worldwide concerns to international wars. Logan's work brought her an Emmy and an Overseas Press Club Award, among other honors. She covered some of the most important events of the decade by 2010 when she was top foreign affairs correspondent for CBS News. Logan stayed committed to exposing the truth despite the physical and psychological toll of reporting from hazardous settings. Her ascent to popularity was accompanied by both personal sacrifices she made along the road and professional successes. Assault in Egypt. On February 11, 2011, in Cairo, Egypt, Lara Logan experienced one of the darkest and most horrific events in her life. Covering the Egyptian Revolution and the festivities following President Hosni Mubarak's resignation, Logan was on assignment for CBS News for Logan. The festive throngs filling Tahrir Square rapidly descended into a horrific state. Logan was split from her team among the tumult of the celebration and surrounded by a throng of males. She spent over 30 minutes being subjected to a terrible sexual attack. Logan subsequently admitted that she was tortured and tormented in ways that left her with psychological as well as bodily wounds. She was quite frightened by the time a group of Egyptian women and troops rescued her. The incident made news worldwide when Logan decided to openly disclose the assault. Her courage in speaking out illuminated the risks female reporters in war areas, especially the possibility of sexual violence, face. Logan's attack attracted media coverage that spurred worldwide discussions on the dangers women encounter while covering hazardous areas and the protection of journalists. Logan was taken back to the United States in the immediate aftermath when she underwent medical treatment and started the ordeal of rehabilitation. The emotional toll was far more profound even when the physical damage recovered. Logan battled PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and years of haunting her with the horrific memories of the attack. Along with more media coverage, her boldness in sharing her experience earned her a public sympathy and support tsunami. Logan later said how the attack affected her perspective on work and life. She was battling fresh emotional challenges even while the world hailed her bravery for carrying on her job. Her professional path was changed, and she suffered long-lasting wounds from the great public attention following the attack, along with personal distress, struggles with trauma and recovery. The sexual attack in Tahrir Square left Lara Logan struggling with severe psychological trauma, which compounded the already great emotional burden of her job as a war correspondent. Logan received a PTSD diagnosis following the incident. This disorder showed up as anxiety, despair, and flashbacks. For a woman who had earlier confronted danger with unflinching determination, this emotional upheaval was especially challenging. Logan shared the emotional and psychological difficulties she was experiencing in public interviews conducted in the months after the attack. On 60 Minutes, she boldly described the horrific facts of her event and how it had left her profoundly disturbed. Logan's public confession set the path for discussions on PTSD among reporters and survivors of sexual assault to come. Although her candor was much welcomed, she also encountered criticism from some quarters and rude comments challenging her choice to go back into hazardous surroundings. Logan struggled to move on from the trauma, even if she was trying to spread awareness about the difficulties she was experiencing. Her personal life had suffered greatly from the attack, which had changed her contacts with friends and relatives. She said she battled to keep her prior sense of normalcy and become more protective of her kids. Simple chores like driving to work become difficult as the emotional scars from Egypt persisted. Logan also got a lot of support from colleagues in the journalistic field at the same time. Many of them commended her for shattering the quiet around sexual violence in conflict areas. Though Logan found herself being defined by her assault rather than her work, the public's sympathy and appreciation was a two-edged blade. Working to reconstruct her life and career while coping with the long-lasting effects of trauma, the emotional weight was great. Return to work and continued challenges. Lara Logan bravely decided to go back to work after months of healing despite the psychological and emotional weight of her attack. She went back to CBS News, but the horrific episode permanently altered her. Though she was struggling with new anxieties, the once fearless journalist was resolved not to have the attack define or ruin her career. Logan returned to CBS not without difficulties. Her experience informed her reporting in ways she had not expected. Logan kept reporting on important world events in spite of hardships, pushing herself to remain concentrated on her task. But the trip to Egypt made her more wary, and she had to weigh her love of journalism against the emotional and psychological challenges she was negotiating. Stigma over her assault also persisted in public view and in the newsroom. Though much she wanted to go forward, the incident still defined most of the media coverage of her. Still, Logan displayed incredible bravery by keeping on reporting from areas of conflict, resolved to keep her journalistic integrity and goal. Logan did not back down even when she came under more public and fellow colleague scrutiny. Her work kept showing the same dedication to provide hard-hitting narratives, but it now included a layer of personal resilience. She proved that although tragedy had changed her, it had not conquered her by sheer will, working to recover her job in face of continuous emotional hurdles. The 2013 Benghazi controversy. Lara Logan's career suffered yet another major blow in 2013 following a broadcast on CBS's 60 Minutes on the 2012 attack on the U.S. diplomatic complex in Benghazi, Libya. Based on the evidence of a security contractor called Dylan Davies, the narrative claimed that the U.S. government had not reacted suitably to the attack. Later on, the report was dismissed since Davies had lied about his location during the incident. The findings produced quick and serious ramifications. Because CBS News neglected to confirm the veracity of Davies's assertions before running the segment, it came under fire. Logan publicly apologized, acknowledging that by depending on Davies's narrative, she had gravely erred. Nonetheless, the harm was done. Her reputation suffered greatly when CBS News put her on a leave of absence. Lara Logan's reputation as a journalist suffered as well as her whole body of work came under closer examination due to the Benghazi debate. Logan suffered most of the criticism since critics questioned how such a major mistake could have escaped CBS's editorial process. Many viewers and colleagues battled to balance her earlier work as a brave correspondent with the obvious errors in the Benghazi report, even with her apologies. Logan's career sank rapidly after the incident. She finally went back to CBS News, but her reputation was irrevocably damaged. The debate brought attention to how brittle trust is in journalism, and for Logan, it signaled the start of a professional slide. She formally broke away from CBS News in 2018, leaving a legacy now eclipsed by one error: professional and personal downturn. Lara Logan battled to fit in the mainstream media after leaving CBS News in 2018. Her career had suffered greatly from the weight of the Benghazi scandal and her personal suffering following her attack in Egypt. Once among the most well-known and esteemed war correspondents, Logan now found herself in a far more vulnerable situation. Given her reputation harm, several of the big news sources were reluctant to recruit her. Logan's career path therefore changed from the esteemed roles she had held. She tried to reconstruct her career using smaller, less well-known venues, but the chances that had formerly been plenty were now rare. Once a brave reporter, she was now fighting public mistrust, as well as the mental fallout from years spent in hazardous settings. Logan, personally, had difficulties as well. Her personal life suffered as a result of her work challenges, which permeated her relationships and general state of health. She had to negotiate the emotional wounds from the horrific events of her past, as well as the pressure of restoring her career. Logan's resiliency, however, kept her going, even if her way forward appeared unknown. Logan persisted through these challenges, looking for chances to tell her story and go back to the field she loved. But the road to atonement turned out to be a long and difficult one with few obvious chances for the kind of achievement she had before savored. Shift to alternative media and controversial opinions. Lara Logan has notably moved from mainstream media to alternative channels in recent years, where her frank and sometimes provocative opinions have earned her recognition. Celebrated for her courageous combat reporting with CBS News and 60 Minutes, Logan's career veered off course following various personal and professional obstacles. This change partly reflects her growing disenchantment with what she believes to be prejudice in conventional media sources, and her ambition to follow a more autonomous kind of journalism. Logan's departure from mainstream media started circa 2013, following a heavily reported story on 60 Minutes about the 2012 Benghazi attack that proved to have errors. The backlash from the revelation resulted in her CBS suspension, a major career turning point. Logan carried on her journalism career despite this setback, but she started to stray from traditional news sources in search of other paths where she can more freely express herself. Logan started to be more well-known in alternative media in the next years, using venues that sometimes highlight problems and stories rarely covered by the mainstream press. This change coincided with her mounting critique of media bias, especially with relation to coverage of politics, war, and social concerns. She has publicly charged big news outlets of slanting their coverage to suit political objectives, claiming this results in less fair coverage and less journalistic integrity. Logan's latest career has been more divisive in that she embraced far-right political viewpoints and conspiracy theories. She has stated strong opinions on issues including immigration, COVID-19 regulations, and the claimed leftist bias in the media on venues including Fox News and Newsmax. These points of view have attracted her both a devoted following among some viewers and harsh criticism from others, including former colleagues in the news business who see her change as a departure from the objectivity she once maintained. Logan said in an interview in 2019 most of the mainstream media as mostly liberal and labeled reporters as politically driven. Depending on their fit with particular political philosophies, she said, this prejudice has resulted in the promotion of some stories and the repression of others. Her most recent media appearances have shown this attitude, as she has charged news sources of not offering fair and honest coverage on events including the U.S. southern border and government reactions to the COVID-19 epidemic. Logan's divisive views have spurred discussion among reporters. Critics contend that her acceptance of conspiracy theories and her affiliation with right-wing media sources erode her journalistic integrity. Pointing to her remarks consistent with refuted assertions, some have accused her of compromising factual accuracy for sensationalism. Logan, on the other hand, argues that her job as a journalist is to question the status quo and voice opposition to what she believes to be systematic corruption in the government and media, thereby supporting her points of view as part of a greater battle for truth. Logan has found a new following among people who feel alienated by conventional media stories despite the reaction. Her change to other venues has let her interact personally with those who also doubt conventional institutions, and she has positioned herself as a supporter of journalistic independence and free expression. Though through a more contentious perspective, some consider her new path as a departure from the hard-hitting war, reporting that once defined her career as a logical extension of her devotion to speaking truth to power. Logan's change to alternative media and her open opinions mirror larger patterns in the media scene, where reporters are gravitating into digital platforms in search of autonomous careers and to interact with specialized markets. But it also begs issues about the thin line separating opinion journalism from factual reporting, and how reporters could keep credibility in a time of polarized media consumption. Where is Lara Logan now? Once a well-known war correspondent, Lara Logan has kept a rather low profile in recent years after a string of events that defined the later phases of her career caused controversy and troubles. Logan has turned her attention to independent journalism by 2024, working on initiatives that mirror her love of investigative reporting. Through podcasts and other digital media outlets, she has separated herself from mainstream media and concentrated on more intimate and self-produced material. Logan keeps advocating on topics she is passionate about, especially on media bias, government openness, and free expression. Although she is no more well-known on a big network, her solo work lets her investigate subjects she thinks are sometimes underwritten or underrepresented. She also periodically shows up on podcasts and interviews, providing her viewpoint on political matters and current events, particularly in connection to war coverage. Regarding her personal life, Logan has been candid about the great toll her job as war journalist has placed on her. She survived sexual attack, which happened during 2011 while covering the Egyptian Revolution. Her mental and emotional health has suffered long-term from this tragedy, as well as the rigorous nature of her work. Logan has showed resiliency nevertheless, frequently using her position to draw attention to the psychological and physical hazards reporters encounter in conflict areas. Logan seems to favor smaller media outlets over major network appearances. Recent public appearances have been more selective. She is still an active participant in debates on press freedom, trauma healing, and the changing terrain of journalism, even if she is no more under continuous media attention. Legacy and lessons from her story. As a journalist, Lara Logan has left a courageous and committed legacy. Her courageous war reporting covering deadly situations in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya is what most people know about her. Her work on CBS's 60 Minutes garnered her extraordinary in-depth investigative journalism and storytelling worldwide recognition. Logan established herself as one of the most brave war correspondents of her time by being ready to enter battle areas where few others ventured to travel. Her suffering, especially her attack in Egypt and the public criticism that followed, provides important insights into the dangers reporters run. Her narrative emphasizes the realities of trauma and the need for improved support networks for people in high-risk jobs. Logan has been candid about her battles with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and the difficulties she faces pursuing a career in journalism following such horrific occurrences. Her fortitude in the face of these challenges emphasizes the significance of realizing the mental health requirements of conflict reporters. Logan's experiences ultimately remind us of the risks reporters take in search of the truth and the vital part they perform in enlightening the public. Her memory inspires the business to never overlook the personal costs of war reporting and to offer trauma sufferers more protection and support. Thank you for watching. To learn more about Lara Logan's journey, click on the video popping up on your screen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates.